Admiral Minho Park stared at the tactical display with growing dread. 47 red dots surrounded Kepler Station like angry wasps around a hive. Each dot represented a Vorthak warship, and each warship could destroy his entire fleet without breaking formation. "Sir, the alien fleet is moving into attack position," reported Communications Officer Tai-Ho Kim from his station. His voice was steady, but Minho could see the young man's hands shaking as he worked his controls. Minho had 3 ships left. 3 aging human frigates against the most powerful alien armada ever seen. The math was simple and brutal. They were going to die today. "Captain Gina, status report," Minho called over the comm system. Captain Gina Choi's voice crackled through the speakers from her ship, Soul's Pride. "Hull integrity at 90%. Weapons charged and ready. My crew is prepared for battle, Admiral." Minho nodded. Gina was tough as steel and twice as sharp. If anyone could make the aliens pay for their victory, it was her. But even she couldn't work miracles against these odds. The Vorthak ships were like nothing humans had ever built. They looked alive, with curved hulls that pulsed with strange light. Biomechanical technology, the scientists called it. Living ships that could heal their own wounds and adapt to enemy weapons in the middle of a fight. "Incoming transmission from the alien flagship," Tai-Ho announced. "Put it on screen." The main viewer flickered to life, showing a creature that gave Minho nightmares. Commander Veltar of the Vorthak hegemony stood 8 feet tall, with forearms and skin like black leather. His yellow eyes glowed with cold intelligence as he spoke in perfect accented English. "Human Admiral, I am Veltar. You have exactly 10 minutes to surrender this station and all its inhabitants. Comply and your deaths will be swift. Refuse and we will make your final hours a symphony of pain." Minho stepped forward, meeting those alien eyes without flinching. "This is Admiral Minho Park of the Earth Colonial Defense Force. Kepler Station is under human protection. If you want it, you'll have to take it from us." Veltar's mouth opened in what might have been a smile, showing rows of sharp teeth. "So be it. You will learn why 17 species have fallen before the hegemony." The transmission ended. "All ships, battle stations," Minho ordered. "Civilian Evacuation Protocol 7. Get those transports away from the station." Across Kepler Station, 50,000 colonists scrambled for escape pods and transport ships. But Minho knew the truth. The Vorthak fighters were already moving to cut off escape routes. Most of those people would never make it to safety. "Admiral, I'm reading energy spikes across their entire fleet," called sensor operator Yuki from her station. "They're charging weapons." The first volley came like green lightning. Plasma bolts the size of city buses screamed across space, slamming into the station's shields. The entire structure shook and lights flickered throughout the command center. "Return fire," Minho shouted. Soul's Pride opened up with everything she had. Missiles streaked toward the alien formation, while pulse cannons filled space with deadly light. For a moment, Minho felt hope as human weapons found their targets. Then he watched in horror as the alien ships began to change. Hull damage sealed itself in seconds. Energy shields shifted color and frequency, deflecting shots that had hurt them moments before. The Vorthak bioships were learning, adapting, becoming immune to human weapons in real time. "Sir, the Henderson is taking heavy fire," Tai-Ho reported. On the tactical display, Minho watched one of his frigates die. The Henderson's shields failed under focused alien fire, and plasma bolts tore through her hull like paper. She exploded in a brief star, taking 200 good people with her. "Damn it," Minho whispered, then louder. "All remaining ships focus fire on the lead alien cruiser. Maybe we can hurt them before they adapt completely." The battle raged for 2 hours. Minho watched his second frigate, the Busan, ram an alien destroyer in a final act of defiance. Captain Song and his crew died as heroes, but there were still 45 enemy ships left. "Admiral, multiple civilian transports destroyed," Tai-Ho reported, his voice breaking. "The aliens are targeting evacuation ships." Minho closed his eyes. Those were families, children, people who had never hurt anyone, who just wanted to build new lives among the stars. The Vorthak were slaughtering them like animals. "Soul's Pride, this is Park," he called to Gina. "How are you holding up?" "Hull breaches on decks 3 through 7, came her reply. "Lost main engines. We're running on backup power and pure stubbornness." The station shook again as another alien volley struck home. Through the viewing port, Minho could see sections of the outer ring venting atmosphere and debris. The shields were failing, and soon the aliens would start targeting the civilian shelters directly. "Sir," Tejo said quietly. Incoming message from Earth Command. Put it through. The message was short and cryptic. Just a few words that made no sense. The Reaper is coming. Hold the line, and what does that mean? Asked Yuki. Minho shook his head. I don't know. But if Earth Command sent it, we need to buy them more time. He opened a channel to the civilian shelters. This is Admiral Park. All colonists report to deep bunkers immediately. Emergency lockdown protocols are now in effect. Admiral, Gina's voice came over the comm, strained but determined. My ship is finished. Request permission to ram the alien flagship. Minho's heart clenched. Gina was like a daughter to him. But she was right. Sol's pride was dead in space, and a ramming attack might damage Veltar's ship enough to matter. Permission granted, Captain. It's been an honor serving with you. Likewise, sir. Tell my family I kept my promise. Minho watched on the tactical display as Sol's pride turned toward the massive alien flagship. Gina pushed her failing engines past their limits, building up speed for one final strike. The alien point defense systems opened fire, tearing chunks from the human frigate. But Gina held her course, steering straight for Veltar's command bridge. At the last second, the alien flagship shifted position. Sol's pride struck the ship's side instead of the bridge, exploding in a ball of fire that left a black scar across the alien hull. Damage assessment? Minho asked. The flagship is hurt but still operational, Yuki reported. And sir, there are no more human ships on sensors. Minho was alone, the last human military officer in the system, standing in a command center that would soon be nothing but wreckage. Outside, the alien fleet was positioning for the final attack. All stations prepare for boarders, he ordered his remaining crew. We make them pay for every inch. But as he spoke, something was moving in the darkness beyond the outer planets. Something that would change everything. Something the aliens had never seen before. The Reaper was coming. The Indomitable drifted through the second Vorthak patrol zone like a shadow among stars. Captain Jiho Lee stood on the bridge, watching 3 alien cruisers move in formation ahead of them. Each ship was massive, easily 3 times the size of any human vessel. Cloak is holding steady, reported Chief Engineer Yuna Seo from her station. But we're running hot. The quantum drive is pushing our power systems to the limit. Weapons Officer Wook Jang tracked the alien ships on his tactical display. 3 cruisers, Captain. Each one carries enough firepower to level a planet. They're scanning for something, probably reports of our presence from the first patrol zone. Intelligence Officer Kiwoo Nam looked up from his console. Sir, I'm intercepting their communications. They're definitely looking for us. Word has spread about a mysterious human ship that disappeared after entering their space. Jiho nodded grimly. The Vorthak were not stupid. They knew someone was moving through their territory, even if they couldn't see exactly what. Range to the lead cruiser? He asked. 12,000 kilometers and closing, Wook replied. On the main screen, the alien ships grew larger as the Indomitable approached. Their biomechanical hulls pulsed with strange light, and weapon ports opened like hungry mouths along their sides. Sir, Yuna called out suddenly, alarm in her voice. Solar flare incoming from the local star. It's going to hit us in 30 seconds. Can we maintain cloak through it? Negative. The electromagnetic pulse will overload our cloaking system. Jiho cursed under his breath. Solar flares were unpredictable, and this one was perfectly timed to ruin their stealth approach. All hands prepare for combat, he announced over the ship's intercom. Looks like we're doing this the hard way. The solar flare struck like an invisible hammer. The Indomitable's cloaking device flickered and died, leaving them visible in the middle of the alien formation. Alarms immediately began blaring from the Vorthak ships. They've seen us, Kiwoo reported. All 3 cruisers are moving to intercept. They're signaling for reinforcements. Wook, target the lead cruiser with Railgun Battery 1, Jiho ordered. Hyun, bring us about to attack Formation Delta. Tactical Officer Hyun Ko worked his controls with inhuman speed, his enhanced reflexes allowing him to process information faster than any normal human could manage. The ship rolled and dove through space, positioning itself for the attack. Railgun charged and ready, Wook announced. Fire. The Indomitable's main railgun spoke with a voice like thunder. A tungsten slug the size of a telephone pole shot out at 20% of light speed, crossing the distance to the alien cruiser in milliseconds. The Vorthak ship's adaptive shields meant nothing against pure kinetic energy. The slug punched through the biomechanical hull like it was made of paper, tearing a hole clean through the ship from bow to stern. Direct hit, Wook shouted. The cruiser is breaking apart. On the main screen, they watched the alien ship come apart in sections. Biomechanical systems that had adapted to energy weapons and plasma bolts had no answer for simple physics. The cruiser died without firing a shot. Second cruiser closing fast, Hyun reported. Range 4,000 kilometers. Target acquired, Wook confirmed. Firing railgun battery 2. Another tungsten slug screamed across space. This time the Vorthak crew tried to evade, but their ship was too large and slow to avoid the relativistic projectile. The second cruiser exploded in a ball of fire as the slug hit its main reactor. The third alien ship, seeing its companions destroyed in seconds, tried to run. But Navigator Doyun Shin had anticipated this move. Intercept course plotted, he announced. We'll be in weapons range in 90 seconds. This one managed to send a distress signal, Kiwoo warned. The entire Vorthak fleet knows we're here now. Then we better make this count, Jiho said grimly. Wook, prepare plasma torpedoes. Let's show them what human engineering can do. The plasma torpedoes were another innovation. Unlike the railguns, which relied on kinetic energy, the torpedoes used controlled antimatter reactions to create miniature suns on impact. They were the most destructive weapons humanity had ever built. Torpedo tubes loaded and ready, Wook reported. The fleeing Vorthak cruiser was firing everything it had at the pursuing human ship. Plasma bolts and biomechanical missiles filled the space between them. But the Indomitable's enhanced shields held firm. Fire torpedoes, Jiho ordered. 2 bright points of light shot out from the human ship, streaking toward their target like falling stars. The alien cruiser tried desperately to intercept them with point defense fire, but the torpedoes were too small and too fast. The first torpedo struck the cruiser's stern, creating a brief new star in space. The second hit the main hull and the ship simply ceased to exist, converted to energy in a matter of seconds. All 3 targets destroyed, Wook reported with satisfaction. Chief Medical Officer Nari O moved among the crew, checking on their condition. No casualties, Captain. The genetic modifications are working as designed. The crew handled the combat maneuvers without difficulty, but Jiho knew their victory had come at a cost. Kiwoo, how many Vorthak ships are responding to that distress call? Reading massive energy signatures throughout this system, the intelligence officer replied. At least 20 ships are converging on our position. Dr. Suabe looked up from her biological warfare console. Captain, I've been analyzing the wreckage of those cruisers. Their biomechanical systems are more advanced than we thought. Our biological weapons will be effective, but we need to get closer to deploy them. How much closer? Jiho asked. Within 500 kilometers. The virus needs direct contact with their hull systems to be effective. Doyun plotted their escape route. Sir, we can jump to the next system in 4 minutes, but those 20 ships will be here in 3. Then we fight our way out, Jiho decided. All hands prepare for multiple contacts. This is what we trained for. The first wave of Vorthak reinforcements dropped out of faster-than-light travel in a burst of exotic energy. 5 destroyer-class ships, each one bristling with weapons and hungry for revenge. Multiple contacts at bearing 270, Hyun announced. They're spreading out to surround us. Wook, continuous fire with all railgun batteries, Jiho ordered. Don't let them get close enough to use their adaptive weapons. The space around the Indomitable filled with deadly tungsten slugs as all 4 railgun turrets opened fire simultaneously. The Vorthak destroyers tried to evade, but they had never faced weapons that traveled at such incredible speeds. 2 destroyers died in the opening volley. A third lost its main drive and spun helplessly through space. The remaining 2 ships tried to close distance, hoping to bring their energy weapons to bear. Plasma torpedo spread, fire at will, Jiho commanded. 4 torpedoes streaked out toward the remaining enemies. The aliens managed to destroy one with defensive fire, but the other 3 found their targets. 2 more brief suns bloomed in space as the Vorthak destroyers died. Second wave incoming, Kiwoo warned. 15 ships this time, including heavy cruisers. Yuna worked frantically at her engineering station. Quantum drive is charged, Captain. But if we keep fighting like this, we'll run out of ammunition before we reach Kepler Station. Jiho made a command decision that would define the rest of the battle. We're not running. Deploy the biological weapons. All of them. Dr. Bay's hands flew over her controls. Virus canisters armed and ready. This will affect every Vorthak bioship in the system. Fire. Dozens of small projectiles shot out from the Indomitable, each one carrying a specially designed virus that would attack Vorthak biomechanical systems. The canisters were too small for the alien sensors to detect, and they spread throughout the system like invisible death. Within minutes, the effect became visible. The approaching Vorthak ships began to slow, their biomechanical hulls developing dark patches as the virus attacked their living components. Some ships started firing on their own companions as their biological computers became infected and confused. "It's working," Dr. Bay reported with grim satisfaction. "Their bioships are consuming themselves from the inside out." But Jiho knew they had crossed a line that could never be uncrossed. They had used biological warfare against a living species. Whatever happened next, humanity had changed forever. "Jump us to the next system," he ordered. "We have a station to save." Captain Jiho Lee opened his eyes to darkness and cold. The cryogenic pod hissed as it released him into the world of the living. Around him, 37 other pods were opening, each one containing a member of his hand-picked crew. "Welcome back to the land of the living, Captain," said Chief Engineer Uniseo as she climbed out of her pod. Even after months in deep freeze, her voice was strong and sure. Jiho stretched his aching muscles and looked around the cryo bay. The ship was silent except for the hum of life support systems. They had been asleep for 6 months, waiting for the call that everyone hoped would never come. "Status report," he ordered. Tactical Officer Hyun Ko was already at his station, fingers dancing over the controls. "We're in the outer Neptune system, Captain. All systems are green. The ship is ready for combat operations." The ship was the Indomitable, and she was unlike anything else in human space. While other vessels were built for exploration or trade, the Indomitable had been designed for one purpose: to kill aliens. "Yuna, bring the engines online," Jiho commanded. "Hyun, charge all weapons. Doyun, plot a course for the Kepler system." Navigator Doyun Shin looked up from his charts. "Sir, that will take us through 3 Vorthak patrol zones. The odds of making it through undetected are—" "I don't care about the odds," Jiho cut him off. "Kepler station is under attack. 50,000 people are counting on us." The crew moved with practiced efficiency. These were not regular Navy personnel. They were volunteers and outcasts, men and women who had been chosen for their skills and their willingness to die for humanity. Weapons Officer Wook Jang ran diagnostics on the ship's arsenal. "Captain, all weapon systems are operational. The railguns are charged and ready." The railguns were the ship's primary weapons. They fired metal slugs at incredible speed, fast enough to punch through any known armor. Unlike energy weapons, they could not be adapted to or defended against. Physics was physics and kinetic energy was kinetic energy. "Dr. Bay, report to the bridge," Jiho called over the intercom. Dr. Sua Bay arrived moments later, carrying a datapad filled with alien biological data. She was the ship's xenobiologist, and she knew more about Vorthak physiology than anyone else in human space. "Captain, I've been monitoring Vorthak communications," she said. "Their bioships have a weakness. Their living hulls require constant biological maintenance. If we can disrupt their cellular structure, their ships will literally eat themselves." Jiho nodded. "And how do we do that?" "We have biological weapons specifically designed for this purpose. Viruses that attack their biomechanical systems. But Captain," she paused, "using these weapons will change us. Once we cross that line, there's no going back." The bridge fell silent. Everyone knew what she meant. Biological warfare was forbidden by human law and custom, but then again, so was genocide. "The Vorthak started this war," Jiho said quietly. "They chose to murder civilians and children. If using their own methods against them makes us monsters, then so be it." Intelligence Officer Kiwoo Nam looked up from his station. "Captain, I'm reading a priority transmission from Earth Command. Code Black authorization. Put it on screen." The transmission was short and to the point. The Vorthak had surrounded Kepler Station with their largest fleet ever assembled. 3 human frigates were all that stood between 50,000 colonists and total annihilation. "Estimated time to arrival?" Jiho asked. 18 hours if we push the engines hard," Doyun replied. "But we'll have to go through Vorthak space to get there." Chief Medical Officer Nario spoke up from her station. "Captain, the crew should know something about the modifications we've received." Jiho sighed. Another secret he had hoped to keep. "Tell them." "During our time in cryosleep, your bodies were enhanced," Dr. O explained. "Improved reflexes, stronger bones, better resistance to G-forces. You can now survive combat maneuvers that would kill normal humans. Yun whistled softly. We're not entirely human anymore, are we? No, Jiho admitted. But we're still fighting for humanity. That has to count for something. The ship's experimental quantum drive came online with a deep thrumming sound that seemed to vibrate through their bones. Yuna monitored the exotic energy readings with practiced skill. Drive is stable, Captain. We can jump to faster than light speed whenever you're ready. Do it. Space twisted around the Indomitable as she jumped to quantum speeds. Unlike the traditional warp drives used by most human ships, the quantum drive bent spacetime itself, allowing them to appear to move faster than light while technically never exceeding that speed. First jump complete, Doyen reported. We're now in Vorthak Patrol Zone Alpha. Sensors show 3 enemy cruisers on patrol. On the main screen, Jiho could see the alien ships in the distance. Each one was the size of a city, bristling with biomechanical weapons and shielded by adaptive energy fields. Activate the cloaking device, he ordered. The Indomitable shimmered and vanished from normal sight. The cloaking system bent light around the ship, making them invisible to most sensors. It was another piece of alien technology that humanity had reverse-engineered and improved upon. Cloak is stable, Yuna reported, but it won't last long. The power drain is enormous. They crept through the patrol zone like ghosts, passing within a few thousand kilometers of the alien ships. Jiho held his breath as they passed the first cruiser, its biomechanical sensors sweeping space for any sign of intruders. Second jump point reached, Doyen announced, preparing to jump to Patrol Zone Beta. The quantum drive engaged again, carrying them deeper into enemy space. Each jump brought them closer to Kepler Station, but also deeper into danger. Captain, Kiwu said, his voice tense, I'm reading massive energy signatures ahead. The main Vorthak fleet is mobilizing. On the tactical display, Jiho could see hundreds of red dots converging on a single point in space. The Vorthak were gathering their strength for the final assault on Kepler Station. How long do we have? He asked. At their current speed, they'll reach the station in 14 hours, Kiwu calculated. Jiho did the math in his head. They could make it, but barely. And when they arrived, they would be facing odds that no sane person would accept. Sir? Wook said quietly. One ship against their entire fleet. Even with our advantages, the math doesn't look good. The math never looks good for humans, Jiho replied. That's what makes us dangerous. We don't know when to quit. He turned to address the entire crew over the ship's intercom. This is the captain. In 12 hours, we're going to arrive at Kepler Station. We'll be facing the largest alien fleet in history with 1 ship and 38 people. The odds are impossible. The mission is suicide. And we're going to do it anyway because that's what humans do. We don't surrender. We don't give up. And we sure as hell don't let aliens murder our families without a fight. The crew responded with grim determination. They all knew they were probably going to die. But they also knew they were going to make the aliens remember this day for the rest of their species' existence. The Indomitable jumped again, carrying her crew toward their destiny among the stars. The Indomitable dropped out of quantum speed at the edge of the Kepler system, and Captain Jiho Lee felt his heart sink at what he saw. The battle was already over and humanity had lost. Tactical assessment, he ordered quietly. Weapons Officer Wook Jang's voice was tight with emotion as he read the displays. No human ships remaining on sensors, Captain. Soul's Pride is dead in space, main hull cracked open. I'm reading debris fields where the other frigates used to be. Intelligence Officer Kiwu Nam worked frantically at his station. Kepler Station is still intact, but barely. Outer rings are venting atmosphere. I'm detecting 47 Vorthak capital ships in formation around the station. Jiho closed his eyes for a moment. They were too late. Admiral Minho Park and Captain Gina Choi were dead, along with thousands of good people who had died trying to protect innocent civilians. Any word from the station? He asked. Negative, Kiwu replied. All military frequencies are silent. The Vorthak are jamming civilian communications. Chief Engineer Yuna Seo looked up from her monitors. Captain, sensors show the alien fleet composition. 47 capital ships, including that massive flagship in the center, plus over 300 fighter craft and support vessels. Navigator Doyen Shin plotted attack vectors on his display. Sir, even with our advantages, the odds are mathematically impossible. That's not a fleet, it's an entire armada. Dr. Suabe studied the biological readings from the alien vessels. The virus we deployed in the last system won't work here, Captain. These ships are too far away and they've probably adapted their biosystems by now. Tactical Officer Hyun Ko enhanced the image on the main screen, showing the enormous Vorthak flagship at the center of their formation. That command ship is 3 kilometers long. It's bigger than some human space stations. Jiho stared at the impossible odds arrayed against them. One human ship against an armada that could conquer entire star systems. Any sane commander would retreat, call for reinforcements, and live to fight another day. But 50,000 civilians were trapped on that station, and retreat meant abandoning them to alien slaughter. All hands. This is the captain, Jiho announced over the ship's intercom. We are facing the largest enemy fleet in recorded history. They outnumber us 47-1, not counting fighters and support craft. By any reasonable measure, we should run away and let someone else handle this problem. He paused, letting his words sink in. But we're not reasonable people. We're humans, and humans don't abandon their families. We're going in. The bridge crew exchanged glances. They all knew this was suicide, but not one of them suggested retreat. Wook, arm all weapon systems, Jiho ordered. Yuna, push the engines past Redline. We're going to need every advantage we can get. Sir, Chief Medical Officer Nario spoke up from her station. Should I prepare the medical bay for casualties? Jiho looked at her with sad eyes. Doctor, if we take any serious hits from that fleet, there won't be anything left to treat. Just make sure the crew is ready for maximum combat maneuvers. The Indomitable began its approach toward the alien armada. On the main screen, the Vorthak ships grew larger as they closed distance. Each capital ship bristled with biomechanical weapons, their hulls pulsing with alien life. Range, 50,000 kilometers, Hyun reported. They've spotted us. The entire fleet is turning to face our approach. Open a channel on all frequencies, Jiho commanded. Kiwoo worked his controls. Channel open, sir. Jiho's voice echoed across space, reaching every ship in both fleets. This is Captain Jiho Lee of the Earth vessel Indomitable. We are humanity's answer to your genocide. Withdraw now or face extinction. The response came from the massive flagship. Commander Veltar's image appeared on the main screen, his yellow eyes glowing with amusement. One ship, the alien commander said in his accented English. You bring one ship against my armada and threaten us with extinction? Your species' arrogance knows no bounds. Our arrogance is matched only by our stubbornness, Jiho replied calmly. Last warning, Veltar. Leave this system or we will remove you. The alien leader threw back his head and laughed, a sound like metal scraping against stone. Very well, human. Let us see what your single ship can accomplish against the might of the hegemony. All ships destroy that vessel. Leave nothing but atoms. The Vorthak fleet opened fire as one. The space between the fleets filled with plasma bolts, biomechanical missiles, and energy beams that could melt through steel like butter. It was the concentrated firepower of an entire armada, focused on one small human ship. Evasive maneuvers, Jiho shouted. Hyun threw the Indomitable into a series of impossible turns and rolls, the ship dancing between the incoming fire like a leaf in a hurricane. The enhanced crew handled the brutal G-forces without difficulty, their modified bodies allowing them to remain conscious and functional under stress that would kill normal humans. Return fire, all weapons, Jiho ordered. All 4 railgun turrets opened up simultaneously, sending tungsten slugs screaming across space at relativistic speeds. The first volley caught 3 Vorthak cruisers completely by surprise, punching clean through their hulls before they could react. 3 confirmed kills, Wook announced with grim satisfaction. But the aliens were learning fast. The remaining ships began evasive maneuvers, making themselves harder targets. Their biomechanical hulls started adapting, growing thicker armor where the railgun slugs had penetrated their companions. Plasma torpedo spread. Maximum dispersal, Jiho commanded. 16 torpedoes shot out from the Indomitable, each one seeking a different target. The Vorthak point defense systems managed to intercept most of them, but 5 found their marks. 5 brief stars bloomed in space as alien ships died. That's 8 down, 39 to go. Hyun calculated. But the odds were still impossible, and the aliens were adapting to human tactics with frightening speed. Their return fire was becoming more accurate, and several plasma bolts had already scorched the Indomitable's hull. Sir? Dr. Bay called out from her station. I'm reading massive biological activity from their flagship. Veltar is doing something to his entire fleet. On the tactical display, they watched as the Vorthak ships began to move in perfect coordination, like parts of a single organism. Their biomechanical nature was allowing them to function as one massive creature. They're becoming a hive mind, Dr. Bay explained. Individual ship consciousness is being absorbed into a collective intelligence centered on the flagship. Yuna looked up from her engineering station with a wild idea in her eyes. Captain, what if we could disrupt that collective intelligence? If we could sever the connection between the flagship and the rest of the fleet? How? The quantum drive. If I overload it in a specific pattern, we can create a localized space-time distortion. It would trap their entire fleet in a gravity well. Jiho understood immediately. A gravity trap. They wouldn't be able to jump to faster-than-light speed or maneuver effectively. But, sir, Yuna warned, overloading the quantum drive is extremely dangerous. If we lose containment, the artificial black hole could consume both fleets. Doyen plotted the calculations on his navigation computer. The math works, Captain. But we'd need to get within 5,000 kilometers of their flagship to make it effective. 5,000 kilometers. Point-blank range against an armada that was already adapting to their weapons and tactics. It was beyond suicidal. Do it, Jiho decided. Plot a direct course for Veltar's flagship. All weapons, continuous fire. We're going to ram our way through their entire fleet. The Indomitable turned toward the massive alien command ship and accelerated to maximum speed. Plasma bolts and biomechanical missiles filled the space around them as every enemy ship focused fire on the approaching human vessel. Hull breaches on decks 4 and 7, Nari reported. Emergency force fields are holding. Keep firing. Jiho shouted over the sound of explosions echoing through the ship. The human ship carved a path of destruction through the alien formation, railguns and plasma torpedoes clearing the way ahead. But for every Vorthak ship they destroyed, 10 more moved to intercept them. Range to flagship, 8,000 kilometers, Hyun announced. Almost there, Yuna called out, her hands flying over the quantum drive controls. Beginning overload sequence. The space around them began to twist and bend as the quantum drive built up impossible energies. Stars in the distance started to shift position as gravity itself became a weapon. This is it, Jiho said quietly. Whatever happens next, we made them pay. The fate of 50,000 civilians and perhaps all of humanity hung in the balance as the Indomitable raced toward its appointment with destiny. The quantum drive screamed as Chief Engineer Unisio pushed it beyond all safety limits. Space-time twisted around the Indomitable like water going down a drain, and the Vorthak fleet suddenly found themselves trapped in a gravity well of humanity's making. Gravity trap is active, Yuna shouted over the sound of tortured metal and exotic energies. Their entire fleet is caught in the distortion field. Captain Jiho Lee watched on the tactical display as 47 alien capital ships struggled against the artificial gravity well. Their biomechanical drives, designed for normal space, could not overcome the warped physics that now held them prisoner. They can't jump to faster-than-light speed, reported Navigator Doyen Shin with amazement in his voice. And their maneuverability is cut by 70%. Weapons Officer Wook Jang was already taking advantage of the trapped enemies. All railgun batteries continuous fire. They can't dodge anymore. The Indomitable's tungsten slugs found their marks with deadly precision. Vorthak cruisers and destroyers died one after another, their hulls punctured by kinetic projectiles they could no longer avoid. 15 enemy ships destroyed, Intelligence Officer Kiwoo Nam reported. But sir, the flagship is breaking free of the gravity well. On the main screen, Commander Veltar's massive command ship was using some kind of exotic drive system to push against the space-time distortion. Slowly but surely, the 3-kilometer-long vessel was pulling free of the trap. He's adapting to our quantum effects, Dr. Suabe observed from her biological warfare station. The flagship's biomechanical systems are evolving in real time. Tactical Officer Hyun Ko brought the ship around for another attack run. Sir, we're taking heavy fire from the ship still trapped in the gravity well. Hull integrity down to 60%. The bridge shook as alien plasma bolts found their mark. Emergency lights flickered, and the smell of burning electronics filled the air. Medical. Teams to all sections, called Chief Medical Officer Nario. We have casualties on Deck 5. But Jiho kept his eyes fixed on the enemy flagship as it continued to break free from the gravity trap. Once Veltar escaped, he would rally his remaining ships and turn the battle back in the aliens' favor. Wook, target the flagship with everything we have, Jiho ordered. Plasma torpedoes, maximum yield. Sir, At this range, we'll be caught in our own blast, the weapons officer warned. Do it anyway. 8 plasma torpedoes streaked toward the massive alien command ship. Veltar's point defense systems managed to intercept 6 of them, but 2 got through. The explosions lit up space like miniature suns, scarring the flagship's biomechanical hull with deep craters. But the ship was too large to be destroyed by conventional weapons, and its living hull was already beginning to heal the damage. Direct hit, but minimal effect, Wook reported grimly. Sir, Veltar's voice came over the communication system. You fight well for such a primitive species. But this ends now. All boarding craft launch. Dozens of smaller vessels shot out from the Vorthak ships, each one carrying alien warriors intent on capturing the human ship. They moved too fast for the railguns to track, weaving between the Indomitable's defensive fire. Incoming boarders, Hyun announced. 23 craft heading straight for us. Kiwoo, activate internal defenses, Jiho commanded. All crew members prepare for boarding action. The alien craft struck the Indomitable's hull like missiles, boring through the armor with cutting tools and explosives. Within seconds, Vorthak warriors were pouring into the ship through multiple breach points. The corridors of the human vessel became a battleground as crew members fought desperately against alien invaders. The Vorthak were larger and stronger than humans, with 4 arms and natural weapons. But the enhanced crew of the Indomitable had advantages of their own. Hull breaches on decks 3, 5, and 7. Nari reported as she led a medical team in defending the wounded. Alien boarders throughout the ship. In engineering, Yuna fought off 3 Vorthak warriors while trying to maintain the quantum drive. Her enhanced reflexes allowed her to dodge their attacks while keeping the exotic energy stable. Engineering to bridge, she called over the intercom. I can't hold the gravity well much longer. The drive is overheating. Jiho made a desperate decision. All hands abandon the outer sections. Fall back to the bridge and engineering. We'll make our stand here. The crew fought a running battle through their own ship, falling back from section to section as more aliens poured through the breaches. The enhanced humans could outrun and outfight individual Vorthak, but they were vastly outnumbered. Sir, Kiwoo called out from his intelligence station. I'm detecting something strange. The Vorthak boarding parties are slowing down. Some of them are attacking each other. Dr. Bay looked up from her biological warfare console with sudden understanding. The virus we deployed earlier. It's been spreading through their biomechanical systems. The boarding craft carried it to the ships that weren't initially infected. On the tactical display, they watched as chaos erupted throughout the Vorthak fleet. Ships began firing on their own allies as infected biocomputers lost the ability to distinguish friend from enemy. The hive mind connection is breaking down, Dr. Bay explained. Their collective intelligence is being corrupted by the virus. Veltar's voice came over the communications again, but this time it was filled with rage and desperation. What have you done to my fleet? We gave them a taste of their own medicine, Jiho replied coldly. Your biomechanical technology works both ways. The alien commander's flagship was now completely free of the gravity well, but half of his fleet was either destroyed or fighting among themselves. In desperation, he ordered his ship to ram the Indomitable. Flagship closing fast, Hyun reported. He's going for a collision course. Can we evade? Not with our current damage. Hull integrity is too low for high-speed maneuvers. Yuna looked up from her engineering station with wild determination in her eyes. Captain, I have an idea. If I can create a controlled collapse of the quantum drive, we can form a temporary black hole between our ships. It will consume both vessels unless he changes course. Jiho understood the implications immediately. That's suicide. Maybe he'll blink first. The Vorthak have never faced anyone crazy enough to create a black hole in the middle of a battle. The massive alien flagship bore down on them like a living mountain, its biomechanical weapons firing continuously. The Indomitable's shields collapsed under the assault, and hull breaches appeared throughout the ship. Do it, Jiho ordered. Yuna began the controlled collapse of the quantum drive. Space between the two ships began to twist and fold as gravity went insane. Stars in the background stretched into lines as space-time itself became a weapon. Black hole forming, she announced. Point of no return in 30 seconds. The event horizon appeared as a sphere of absolute darkness between the two ships, growing larger with each passing second. If either vessel crossed that boundary, they would be torn apart by tidal forces that no technology could resist. Veltar, this is your last chance, Jiho broadcast to the alien commander. Change course now or we all die together. For a moment, the alien flagship continued its approach. Then at the last possible second, it veered away from the growing black hole. "He's breaking off," Hyun reported with amazement. "The flagship is retreating." Yuna collapsed the artificial black hole before it could consume both ships. The exotic energies dissipated harmlessly into space, leaving only the two battered vessels facing each other across the darkness. "Sir," Kiwoo announced, "incoming transmission from the Vorthak flagship." Veltar appeared on the main screen, his yellow eyes filled with something the crew had never seen before in a Vorthak: fear. "Human captain," the alien said slowly, "you have proven that your species is worthy of respect. My remaining ships will withdraw from this system. And the civilians on Kepler Station?" Jiho demanded. "They will be unharmed. This I swear by the honor of the hegemony." For the first time in their species' history, the Vorthak had been forced to surrender in battle. As the surviving alien ships limped away from Kepler Station, the crew of the Indomitable realized they had accomplished the impossible. They had faced the most powerful fleet in the galaxy with 1 ship and 38 people, and they had won. But as Jiho looked at the damage to his ship and crew, he wondered what price humanity would pay for this victory. They had used biological weapons, genetic enhancement, and technology that bent the laws of physics themselves. In saving humanity, had they changed what it meant to be human? The answer to that question would shape the future of their species among the stars.